Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another edition of the People's Choice here on WCEG Talk Radio, the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group. I am your host, all one word, like a tribe called Quest, Joe Flint. So happy to be here with you all again this evening with a special edition for the people of the great city of South Fulton. We are honored and privileged tonight to have the Honorable Mayor William Edwards. Now, Bill, if you know him, but we have with us tonight the good mayor of the city of South Fulton, who has, without a doubt, brothers and sisters, has always found himself very available to us. And for that, we are very grateful that there's never been a time that we haven't been able to reach out to Mayor Edwards and he was not able to either come on or respond to what we need. So for that, we say thank you. And that in itself kind of tells us the type of leader he is. So without any questions or without further ado, welcome, Mayor Edwards. So good to see you. So good to hear from you this evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Joe Flint. Thank you for having me here and allowing me to have a discourse on the future of our city and where we are presently. I am the city's first mayor, and more than that, I'm the city's only mayor. So I'm excited about having this dialogue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, listen, making history is one thing, but making it work for history is another thing. So we greatly appreciate you, as always, again, being a friend to WCEG and to the People's Choice. Mayor Edwards, we'll get right down to it. So 4 years has come by extremely fast. I mean, I cannot imagine that it would go by so fast, but here we are in the heat of an election, almost ready to re-elect the mayor of the city of South Fulton. Tell us, what were the struggles, if you will, from 4 years ago, and to what successes have you found at this moment now?
I think the first word people have to understand, and I think it's appropriate, and that's the word resiliency.
Okay.
We have been a very resilient government. Under my administration, you remember, Joe, I was under 2 hurricanes.
That's right. That's
and
exactly
a pandemic.
Yes, sir.
But the resilience of this city has allowed us to maintain the status where we are today. And I can tell you and your viewers that this city is in the best position that it could be in. No one can tell the story, not many mayors can tell the story of how I started a city.
Yes, sir. That's true.
This city is just 4 years old. And I know that a lot of people thought that when we became a city that we wave a magic wand and a lot of things went away.
Yes.
But those things will go away. But sometimes those things take time, and there are policies and procedures to get us to where we want to go. But in fact, if everything that's happened to us, we've remained resilient and remained one of the best cities in the state of Georgia.
That right there is volumes, and it's so good to know that. So, Mayor Edwards, tell us, in 4 years, where were you, or what have you seen as, if there is one thing that you can say has been the greatest, and I hate to continue to use the word struggle, but what has been, if you will, the biggest fight that you've had in making, the city of South Fulton the jewel that it is?
Oh, I got a long list of those, Joe, but I won't bore you.
I'm sure
with that. But let me just see. When I first came out as mayor, I had 2 issues. One of them was public safety.
Oh, yes.
And the other one was education. Now, some people say, well, why, Bill, you talking about education? It's just not a part of the government. But do you know that you spend 53 cents out of every dollar goes to education?
Absolutely.
And it's important that we raise our educational level to the point where we need to have it. Now, Joe, if those things, if the pendulum is swinging up on those 2 issues, as we start out our first 4 years, then everything else like economic development will take its place. Now, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. Nobody wants to stay where they don't feel safe, and nobody wants to stay where the children can't get educated. It's not rocket science.
Bill, those things right there are probably, you just made that more simpler than I've ever heard before in talking to any elected official across every stream. Because really, in truth, those, there are other things that, people want to know that are taking place in their communities. But those two things right there, especially for, people moving into a city or moving somewhere, those things are probably, without a doubt, kind of to your point, the most important things. The safety of their community and the fact that their children have somewhere that they can be educated with a well-rounded education.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that, the public safety. Again, you mentioned it, and we know that in the beginning, there was a lot of, publicity, if you will, concerning the public safety in the city of South Fulton. So where are we now?
Okay, that's good question. Thank you for that one.
Yeah.
I am 100% in favor of what we do in public safety.
Okay.
I think I have a tremendous police chief.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have some outstanding officers. As you don't see us on TV doing people wrong or getting sued. But
Right.
just let me take you a minute. We went through, this is our first actual assigned police chief.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Chief Meadows. He's done an outstanding job. Crime is down in South Fulton 35% over the past 4 years.
Wow.
What an accomplishment to be outside of the city of Atlanta, where we know that crime is a big problem. But we're right outside the city of Atlanta, but we have our hands on crime, and we're now speaking of a crime rate that's below 30%, unheard of. And we're going to continue to do that. How do we do it? We use the 21st century policing.
Right.
That's a great model in terms of us dealing with our constituents, all right? We also are data driven. See, you got to go where the crime is. And you got to understand that when you go where the crime is and you put all your resources there, all your resources can't stay. So you have to go in there, do what you got to do to ensure that that doesn't happen again. And so that's what we do. Whatever the data drives us, that's where we go. The other big thing about it is that, listen, Joe, you got to have the equipment to get things done. See, the equipment is not just about the dollars. The equipment is about that man or that woman who puts that blue uniform on in the morning and go out to protect and serve. We need to make sure that they come back to the families that they left that evening. And what kind of equipment does that? People always talk about Bill Edwards bought a tank. You probably heard that for the police department. Well, it's not a tank. It's tanks don't drive on 4 rubber wheels.
Not at all.
Right.
I'll serve in Afghanistan. I've seen them, and they were on rubber wheels.
And we don't have a cannon turret on this. It's called a Bearcat.
Okay.
Now we're not the only ones who have Bearcat. College Park has it. Up in Alpharetta, they got 2. All right. So this whole notion but let me tell you what happened, Joe, after we bought it. We bought it within 2 weeks. We had to use it to go into a drug operation.
Wow.
On Fulton Industrial Boulevard. We needed that piece of equipment, Joe. We have invested in state-of-the-art technology in terms of camera vests for the safety not only of our policemen, but the liability that goes along with what they do when they're on the beat.
Right.
We have those types of things. And we had only 8 beats. All right. We're 90-some miles in perimeter, right? And so we had 8 beats. So there was no way that we could get policemen to come in on shift, they change cars. Now we hired Georgia State University to give us a beat study. Georgia State University said that we need 18 beats.
Okay.
Now, right now, we're at 10. All right. We've approved to hire 30 more police officers. If I hire 30 more police officers, then we'll go to 14.
Okay.
And so we'll be left with only 4 beats left. All right. Why is that important? Because, when a person comes in, they got to trade cars, they got to do all this stuff, and they're back on the street, which brings me to another point. We have, under my time as mayor, we have purchased many police cars, and we just purchased 40. I want to see every police officer in this city, within 20 miles of the city where they live, they take a police car home.
Mm.
You know,
that in itself, and I don't mean to cut you off, Mayor, but we know, I'm sure you know, which is probably why you mentioned this, that kind of helps to cut back on the crime rate.
Right.
Because if they see the police car in the neighborhood, or if they see the policeman patrolling not only the area they live, but being a constant presence, that makes a someone that's ready to commit a crime think twice about what they're going to do, because they see that police car there and they know that someone of law enforcement is right there. Mayor, you mentioned something, and of course, there's no question that people have talked about it, but it kind of makes me want to segue, and forgive me, you can definitely finish your statement, but when you finish that, I want to segue into the finances of the city and how are you all doing financially? But please continue on the crime.
Okay, let me just say this. You're absolutely on point when you talk about the take-home cars.
Yeah.
But let me just add to that. As we take home cars, studies show that police officers take better care of their cars when they take them home.
Of course.
All right. And then the cars become, we buy less cars because they don't have to get in the same car that just been rolling all day for the second shift to come in. They have their own car. So this is the rationale. Now, one thing I do want to talk about that's important, and right now I'm talking about the future. I'm talking about where we're going, where we're at. All right. Right now, we had our response time 2 years ago, probably, was 20 minutes.
Wow.
The average response time for any police officer in any city is 7.2 minutes.
Okay.
We have gone down from 20 minutes to 9.15.
Fantastic.
And we're steadily going down. So with the more beats, the more police officers, the greater opportunities in the future, I think we're going to be just great in terms of public safety in the city, which is one of the pillars of what makes any city great, is public safety.
Well, there's no question about, again, like we said early on, people are wanting to make sure that when and if they move to an area, that they can be safe and that crime is not, something they have to concern themselves with each night when they go to bed. Yes. And the fact that their children can be able to play in the streets or in the playgrounds or wherever and be okay with that, in addition to, like you said, being able to go into the schools without question. That's huge, Mayor Edwards, that you said that, you all were, 20 minutes response time, and now you're down to 9.2 minutes. That is a huge decrease, in responding to, whatever the issue may be in their area. But I got to tell you that if nothing else, under your administration, that is definitely something. If I were in your position, I would sure be talking about it everywhere. I've brought the police response time down, a little over 10 minutes. That is absolutely amazing.
So Joe,
kudos to you on that.
Joe, let me just say one thing, because I can't leave this subject without mentioning loyal firefighters.
Okay.
We got some of the best firefighters. Our fire chief has just been voted in a national position or a statewide position with the fire chiefs, whatever they call themselves, the Fire Chief Alliance. And we're very, very happy with him. He's new. He's came to us from Fayetteville. He has over 30 years of experience. Nice. And he's done a good job. But let me add something. One of my administration I wanted to do, we had an aging fleet. We had fire trucks that were 25 years old.
Oh, wow.
All right. That's unheard of. All right. So my initiative was, I want to get these fire engines and fire trucks replaced.
Right.
So I said, what would happen if we just began to lease vehicles as opposed to buying them?
Right.
When after so many years, the wear and tear and the maintenance
updated anyway. Yeah.
So we went into leasing vehicles. All right. Right now, Joe, I got 2 vehicles that's going to be we're buying this time. They make it or not. You just can't go to the lot and get a fire engine. They got to build it for you.
Right, right.
So I got 2 coming. When that 2 come, I would have replaced everything in the fleet. There'll be nothing in the fleet that's older than 2015.
Wow. Okay. Great. Great.
Great accomplishment. Now it also allows us to take 2 of the ones we're getting rid of and use them in reserve.
Gotcha.
But the following year, I want to take them out. All right. So I would say within the next 2 years, we have a complete renewed fire department.
Nice.
The community risk division is doing a lot more in the coming year, which means that we're reaching out to our constituency a lot more. We want to make sure that we have that dialogue about fire protection. We right now they're building a fire safety house for us in the process of building, so we can teach children drop and roll and all that kind of stuff, and it looks like a house and how to do things. So the community risk is out there, and we need to do that because we need to also inspect our business more frequently.
Right.
And we just about to purchase 50 acres of land on Cascade Palmetto.
Okay.
And we're going to use that as our fire training facilities, our fire administrative places, and we're going to put some usages out there that communities can have. We don't even have a training facility, a burn house or anything. We got to turn that around. So we're going to put a burn house and everything right there on that facility. So we're moving forward, not just in police, but we're moving forward with fire too.
Mayor Edwards, it sounds that you all are doing a fantastic job, in public safety all around in the city of South Fulton. And I don't doubt that citizens are extremely appreciative of the efforts and all of the things that are taking place to get there. We talked about, I asked the question very briefly about the finances of the city. That there's no question that, somebody that would be listening would say, well, that's a lot of money that they're spending. But as a whole, where does the city sit financially? How strong are you all financially at this moment?
We are in the best position that any city could even ask for.
Gotcha.
Let me tell you very simply why that is. Our revenues are over budget.
Nice.
Our expenses are under budget.
Okay.
Now I can stop that right there and be done with it.
That tells the story right there.
Well, let me go a little further.
Right,
People need to understand. When you're doing your budgetary process, okay, it's a long process.
Yeah.
It calls for citizen input. We meet with each department. We cut stuff, we slice stuff, we add stuff, we do a lot of things. All right. And the bottom line is this. Let me just say we had a balanced budget this year.
Fantastic.
Right? Now, but here's the deal. This is the exciting part. I've been in this business a long time, and one of the things that municipalities try to do is they try to have at least 2 months operating expenses.
Okay.
On what they call a fund balance. All right. Let me announce to you that we have 4 months.
Now that's something.
So if anything happened, we have 4 months in reserve to take care of it. Now let me jump over to some those are the operating sides. Okay. But we have grants and other things that we're using to do things in our community, which one of them is, has to do with COVID and other things like that.
Right.
Yeah, that totals about $50 million.
So I'm glad you kind of mentioned that. In keeping with the same conversation, how has COVID affected you budget-wise and just the city as a whole?
Yeah.
You can go down the rabbit hole for me, please.
Yeah. Initially, it affected us a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because none of us were prepared. No, none of us cities were prepared to budget that kind of catastrophe.
Okay.
But we did. Now here comes the word resilient again. All right. We did that. We took money from everywhere, the fire, police, whatever. And the other thing too that we did what is called gladiator pay. For those frontline people and fire, police, and elsewhere who had to subject themselves every
Mhm.
day to the virus just by the nature of their jobs.
Got you.
So we paid them extra. But what happened? Under the CARES Act funding, the government, federal government, sent the money down to Fulton County.
Okay.
It was Fulton County responsible if they wanted to, and that was to issue that money out to the cities that they saw fit.
Got you.
They didn't.
Ah.
And as a response to that, all the mayors in the 14 cities went against Fulton County, and Fulton County was on its own decided that they would give out more than they should have, but they still didn't give us what we deserved based on population. Now this is the second round of funding.
Okay.
Now the good thing about Fulton, our city, and people need to hear this, we are now called an entitlement city.
Mhm.
What does that mean by the federal government? That means that our money does not flow through the county or any place else. Our money comes directly to us.
Right.
Which is a major, major deal in terms of us being able to do what we do in terms of COVID. So
Okay.
and I'm gonna tell you this, all the money that comes in under those programs, I make sure that every bit of it is spent as per federal regulation. I don't want nobody to say, well, that's close. Well, no, close don't get it. All right. Close get you in jail.
99 and a half won't do.
Won't do. So
Yes,
we're
sir.
making sure that we do that. And you have to realize too that I was the first mayor that closed down the city. If you
Okay.
remember that,
I remember.
when COVID first came.
Yes.
And then the governor came back and said, no. But I still held to it.
Right.
We have a mass ordinance in the city right now. All right. So whatever the governor says, I have not changed that. All right. That our law in this city is what it is. And so we've had to do rental assistance, mortgage assistances.
Yeah.
We've had to do a host of things. But we got another set of funds that are coming down that we're going to use specifically for that. Now, let me tell you what else you got to understand too. All the money that we spent that we didn't reimburse for, all right? I want you to know that under the new CARES Act, we can reimburse ourselves.
I got you.
And I think that's important that we reimburse ourselves. But there's a host of things that we're going to be spending it on, and I just want you to know that we'll be doing that.
Mayor, is there and I'm trying to think as I in my mind imagine the city limits of the city of South Fulton. Does South Fulton have its own hospital? More than one?
No, we wish that was one thing that in the future, as we look forward, we want that to happen in the future for our city.
That's what we were talking about, the COVID relief and things that were taking place and the emergency responders. I was thinking about your borders and I was just trying to think where, if any, was there a hospital? But I guess, like you're in the city of Fulton County. So of course, whatever Fulton medical centers are in the area, of course, service you all. But okay, that's please.
Let me just go a little bit on the finance side. Our
Yeah.
budget, our finances budget is very conservative.
Okay.
That means that we live within our means. All right. And
if only everybody could do that.
Everybody can't do everything. And our employees have done very well in terms of managing their own budgets for their departments.
Yes.
But one thing I want to talk about, Joe, I want to talk about the speed, the school speed cameras.
Okay.
Okay, because that's a big issue with a lot of people. But I want to go back and remind you that this thing started when a young lady by the name of Janiyah Majors over in Camp Creek got killed.
I remember.
You remember?
I remember.
And people said, well, why can't we have police out there when they come in the morning and come in the evening? Well, budgetarily, it was impossible for us to do that, even with supplementing the school police.
Right.
So the thing came up about the cameras, all right? Let me make this clear. When we choose to put those cameras out there because we didn't have the manpower to do it ourselves, we never thought of the revenue that it was going to generate.
Mm.
That was never a conversation. The conversation was strictly about
Safety.
let's make it safe. All right. Now we've got revenue coming in to the tune of about $4 million, you know, that we could use. All right. But that's an item when you go to budget next year, that's an item that you can't depend on. All right. Because more people are now slowing down. They realize that the cameras are there. So that amount of money, I think, is going to drop considerably. But I just want people to know, number one, it was never a concern of ours about what we're going to do. But in the future, we're going to do long-term forecasting for our finances.
Right.
And somewhere in the area of contingency, I mean 10 years.
Okay.
We know that our contingency is not strong, but we know that we can draw from the contingency, which, however, is something that we do not want to do.
Gotcha.
And we're in a position that we don't have to do. Lastly, in finances, let me just say this. So we have to adopt a strong commercial base.
Okay.
Right now, South Fulton is run off the backs of residential homeowners.
Yeah.
That paradigm has to change. And we got to bring more commercial in here. As I talked to my economic development person, we got to bring more commercial in here to offset so that we can roll back taxes when we have the opportunity to. So as we go in the future, we're going to be looking at things like that to help improve our tax base. But we're one of the most stable, financially strong cities in this region.
Well, that speaks volumes. Now, when you talk about more commercialization in the city, Mayor Edwards, and anybody who is in the metro area and are familiar with the metro Atlanta area and of course the city of South Fulton and everything that surrounds it, we know that warehouses boom throughout your area, especially down the Camp Creek corridor, down the Fulton Industrial corridor, and even Old National area. What other streams of revenue or commercial revenue would you like to see? Now, granted, warehouses serve a purpose, and they no doubt help establish jobs and help families get on their feet. But what else do you see? Because I can't imagine that you want a city full of warehouses.
Joe, thanks for giving me an opportunity to clear up that whole issue.
Yeah.
As it pertains to warehouses.
Right.
In 4 years that we have been a city, we've only approved 5 warehouses.
Okay.
Warehouses are a source of economic development. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure they go in the right place.
Correct.
This is why we work so hard, and I work so hard to bring in Fulton Industrial Boulevard.
Okay.
Because that Fulton Industrial Boulevard is an industrial boulevard. That's what it is.
Right.
All right. And so we have plenty of land out there that we can bring in more warehouses. And the other thing you have to consider is the environmental issues that go along with that type of thing. All right.
Right.
But let me say what people are saying. Let me clear the air. People are saying that Bill was zoned these warehouses before they came. That is not true. And here's why. When I was commissioner, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners said there will be no warehouses past Hunter Mason Road.
Okay.
All right. That was it. Now, if I wanted to do that, if I zoned it for that, couldn't I have Joe just started putting warehouses all down the corner? I never did. So what happened is the warehouse developers, because I was so stringent, jumped over to Union City.
Right.
And let me tell you what happened. See, when you zone something, if it's not zoned properly for what you wanted to and you annex it, you got to wait a year to properly zone it, all right? So if I did it all right and it was properly zoned, why didn't you put them in there then? Because you were not right.
Right.
They created a zoning called TCMU, Town Center Mixed Use.
Okay.
In that zoning, you could put warehouses along with residential.
Okay.
That's the only place in Georgia who has that zoning. All right.
So can you give an example? Would that be something like when you say warehouses and mixed and would that be something Well, what would be an example of that? Help me to know.
I'll give you one that's going up right now.
Okay.
All right. It's going to have 600,000 square feet of
Okay.
warehouse.
Okay.
Right in front of that is going to be apartments.
Okay. Okay.
Right next to the apartment is going to be a gas station.
Got you.
Now, that's a menu for disaster. All right. So, but that zoning, that TCMU zoning allows for people to do it. The third thing I want people to understand.
Okay.
Every one of those warehouses are not in our city.
Okay, that's
they
true.
are in the city of Union City.
I see it all the time.
So why am I at odds with this? Because you put warehouses next to my residential. All right. That is not fair, Joe.
Right, right.
And that is not the way you zone. That is not the way you collaborate with your sister cities. All right.
Right.
And even though you have your own zoning laws, there's nothing that I can do about it. We suffer the consequences, not only for the fact that it's zoned within your frame, but here's what it happens. There are certain things going to happen outside of your area.
Okay.
Like environmental stuff from emissions.
Correct.
Such as inadequate traffic to hold everything. These are things that's going to come off of your area and pour into my area and pour in the area of Fairburn. And we're saying that is not right. Now, I'm not going to say much about this because there may be some legal stuff coming on later.
Correct.
So I'm kind of forbidden to say a whole lot about it. But I'll say this: it ain't over yet.
Not until the other woman. I won't even call it the big one.
Right.
The other woman's thing.
Right.
So are there any collaborations now? Of course, because again, you mentioned Union City, and I see it whenever I'm traveling that way. Every time I turn a corner in Union City, I see a slab being laid, and whereas in my mind I'm hoping for a shopping center or something else, it ends up becoming a warehouse for something else. What, if any, collaboration do you have with the city of Union City or Fairburn or College Park, all those that are right there with you?
I have a collaboration right now with Chattahoochee Hills.
Okay.
For a mixed-use project somewhere in an area of Highway 54, we're doing that.
Okay.
We have had collaborations where somebody want to do something, say in Fairburn, and to find out the land's half in South Fulton and half in Fairburn.
Right.
We do that. I have a very good relationship with 99% of my mayors. All right, and we do well, maybe 94. But anyway, we do collaborate. And one of the things that we collaborate on is fire.
Right.
All right. What we're doing right now is we're looking at the mutual aid agreements between all of us.
Okay.
And mutual aid seems that when you have a fire, you can't handle it. You call your friends in. All right. Now we want to take that from mutual aid to actual aid, which means that we come regardless of whether you call us or not. If we do that, guess what happens? There's something called an ISO rating.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
If you got insurance policies, you know about the ISO rating.
Right.
I think right now we're about a 3, but our goal is to become an ISO 1.
Okay.
That's going to also relieve homeowners on some of their insurance burden.
Right.
If we can maintain. So we're moving really forward to do that. But if we do actual aid with all our surrounding cities in collaboration on fire, then it helps us to get to that ISO 1 rating.
Right. So you said early on in this conversation, we were talking about, taking or at least trying to alleviate some of the tax burden on the city or on the citizens of the city of South Fulton. Let's fast forward. It's November 3rd, and you're walking back into your office. What are the plans? We've kind of talked about, but what are the plans to help alleviate some of the taxes and the mixed development or whatever it is that's out there to help the citizens to, relax a little bit on their property taxes?
That's a good question. Let me just tell you this. I have started one of my plans for a mixed-use development is on Roosevelt Highway.
Okay.
I call it the Red Oak Historic District. You know,
Okay.
Red Oak is one of the most historic districts we got in our city. You
Very
know,
much so.
Red Oak got its own post office. All
Yes,
right.
it does.
So we have plans for that we're drawn up that extends from Washington Road to Delano Road.
Okay.
All right. And we want to make sure that when you come down Roosevelt Highway and you look over there at that the shopping center or whatever, it's gonna look more. I'm working with Georgia Power. I'm working with MARTA and some other partners to make sure that this happens. We're buying a piece of property over there right now. And we want to own property. We want to be able to buy property and own it. But we want to have a community/police precinct over there. Oh, by the way, you know, one of the promises I made that we would have a police precinct in every city, right?
Okay.
We're just about to do that. We're only one down.
All
right. So anyway, so we're gonna move forward with that. The other thing is a couple of us, Councilwoman Rao, Councilwoman Gums, and myself, and some of our citizens, we took a bus tour to Vickery, and we went to Woodstock.
Okay.
Just to look at what this whole thing of town center looks like.
Right.
And what the possibilities that we're going to be able to have. Well, we did. We came back with some vital information. We talked about it. The person who built Woodstock has now purchased over 200 acres in our city.
Oh, nice.
On Chattahoochee, on the Chattahoochee. So we're looking at doing a town center type development there. The other thing, we're going to move forward with City Hall.
Okay.
But City Hall is going to have a whole lot of structures around it. Okay. Offices, whatever. It's going to be a town center development also. So we're looking at that somewhere around the area of the Wolf Creek Amphitheater.
Okay.
Some people have seen the preliminary drawings, but we're going to do that. The other thing is, we have identified as a council 9 of what we call nodes, and the nodes are commercial areas in high volume areas. Okay, those nodes that we want to come next year, we want to make sure that we start to implement development along the nodes. All right. Now the only backlash to that, Joe, is the fact that people have to understand development follows the sewer. All right. We have a lot of unsewered area. All right. And we talk about incentives for people to come. That is one big incentive to that. So we need to talk about getting the sewer to those nodes, which will cut the cost of some of the people to come and get them done.
Do you see in this development that you're talking about, how much of it, you know, in the town center areas, or even, you know, where you mentioned, you know, the areas where it's going to have a warehouse and the apartments in front of it, and all these areas that, you know, that will have the town center feel and what you witness in Woodstock and other areas, how much, if a percentage is even available, of that will be affordable housing?
Because let me make sure you heard me right now. I ain't putting no warehouse in front of apartments.
Well, I'm not the warehouse behind it. You know, you gave the example.
We ain't putting the warehouse and apartments nowhere. All right. So the thing is this: if we're looking for commercial, all right, then there has to be a high percentage of commercial, even in the town center area.
Right.
All right. And, you know, town centers are great. You know, people go to them all the time. You know, you live there. You got your barbershop. You got your liquor store. You got your cleaners, and it's a walkable community. And that's what we want to try to do here in South Fulton. So we're gonna have a high volume in terms of retail. But you know who controls what kind of retail we have? We gotta listen to our citizens.
Right.
Citizens
so do you all forgive me for cutting you off. So do you have MPUs as well?
Oh no.
Okay.
No, we do have what we call we got homeowners association, and then we have umbrella groups for those homeowners associations. Okay. And they give us a lot of feedback. I can tell you, we have learned that our citizens have become so educated in terms of land use and things of that nature. So you have to listen to it.
Listen, Mayor Edwards, if ever I've seen a city full of engaged citizens, I would definitely say that the city of South Fulton, you swear y'all have 50 mayors there because everybody is engaged and very much, involved in the development and everything that goes on in that city. So I don't know exactly what you've done, and this may definitely be a credit to you, but I can definitely tell that the citizens feel, that they are being listened to, and their input is important. So whatever it is that you're doing, or however you're receiving that feedback, I encourage it to keep going because I think without a doubt, and you know this, that will be the continued success of the city of South Fulton.
Well, we have South Fulton University that we're going to inspire people to come to call us, and we'll get them in line with it. But let me say one thing before we go, Joe, because everybody talks about roads and what we're not doing. Have you been down Butner Road lately?
Not lately. I can't say lately.
You can't get down there because we're repaving Butner Road.
Okay.
And we're putting the roundabout there.
Where on Butner?
At Butner and Stonewall Tail, we're putting the roundabout there.
I know exactly.
That's a bad corner for years. You know that.
Yes. Yes.
So we're relieving that. Now let me tell you about roundabouts.
Okay. The
roundabout over the years will cost less money than putting the traffic like that.
Yes.
And it don't cause any stacking or anything like that. Just keep going to the right. The one we've done the roundabout on Hamilton Road that works beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We also repaired the bridge on Cascade Road. Took a long time. Oh. It took a long time. But
listen, Bill, I gotta cut you. I gotta listen. Yeah. I moved out of the city because it was ridiculous. Like everywhere I needed to go, because you all wrote me out of the city because I lived behind the Walmart. So y'all grew Walmart in and took me out. But every time I was trying to go down Cascade, I couldn't get there. I had to go around the world, go down Boat Rock to get to where I needed to go. But it's beautiful. I will tell you, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I'll tell you two things about that. Number one is that when you involved in a project like that, you bring in engineers, you bring in equipment from out of the country sometimes. You get down, you find out that, you run into another issue. One issue we thought we had it done, and then we ran into bedrock problems. And then you talk about the COVID, and you talk about the rain. I'm not trying to make excuses.
No, understood.
But it was nothing. It was not to our advantage not to get it done as a city.
Right.
And then the other thing people have to understand is this: wherever there's progress going, it's a sacrifice.
Always noise too.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice. But we're doing what you asked us to do.
Right.
All right. So give us a minute and allow us to finish a project before you're on the mayor's phone talking about how you can't get around certain places. Right, but I guarantee when it's all over, just like on Hamilton Road, when it's all over, you're going to praise the job that we've done. Of course. So we're going to continuously do that. We got other roundabouts coming too.
Yeah. Well, those, I think roundabouts are probably the best, thing that you can implement, in areas that, has a, pretty high volume of traffic. And I've seen how even the reverse lanes make a huge difference in areas. So Mayor Edwards, again, we're moving. You're just a month away, if you will, from from the election night. What is it that the citizens can see or expect from you moving into the next 4 years as mayor? What can they expect the city of South Fulton to have in play for them? And what do you want to see the city be in the next 4 years?
Well, what I would say to you is that we have spent 4 good years. Joe, you can't build a house on a weak foundation.
No, you can't.
And we have
big bad wolf will come and blow that down.
Right. So we have thought, been resilient. We've been good keepers of the funds. To set this foundation. Remember now, public safety, schools.
Right.
We set this foundation. Okay. Now in the next 4 years, it's time for us to build on that foundation. And we're serious about that. What does that mean? That means better housing.
Okay.
Better quality housing. All right. If that means that we don't do business with certain developers in the city, I'm okay with that. right? It means better roads. We're spending right now, we're spending $17 million on roads. All right. As you and I talk right now,
I believe it.
$17 million. So better roads. We're talking about better walkability, more sidewalks. We got sidewalks on Old National and others that we have already in our CIP plan to get done. And see, the other thing you have to understand, people have to understand too, especially in terms of sidewalks and listen, the process is lengthy. You have to acquire the land.
Right.
Once you get the acquired, you got to find a person to do it. Then he gives you got to go through the bid process. Then that bid's got to be advertised. Then you got to go through a whole lot of hoops
right.
to get the project done. That's why I don't want people to say we're not doing anything. Yes, we are. You know, but we are held accountable by law to do things in a proper way. So I want to see, and the other thing I want to see our parks become better. We have a URA, and that's a urban renewal thing in the WEEG plan. And let me tell you, we're spending a lot of money. We're gonna be right now in our parks, more roofs, better playgrounds, all these stuff. They're coming, but right now we have about of the money we've gotten from the URA to do things like fix up our fire stations, fix up our parks. We've only got $5 million of that that's actually working now. Because we had to hire 2 project managers just to get us through the paperwork and the bureaucracy of getting something let and ready to go. So we're ready, man. We want to make sure that we do things. We want to make sure we're going to build a new. Let me put this in. We're in the process of getting the land. To be on Old National Highway to build a new public safety center.
Nice.
I just signed the paper to let it go down so that we can negotiate on price so that we can go forward.
Mayor Edwards, I served a state legislator in Michigan for a while. I was his legislative aide and campaign manager. And one of the things that they had there in the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area was something called Spark. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but what it was an incubator for small businesses to come and have a space, but also to share and grow their businesses. You know, moving forward in the next 4 years, and as we move forward into, a totally electric car, world and whatever else is expected of us over the next, 5-10 years, how do you see small businesses being able to make and forge a way in the city of South Fulton?
Well, we're ahead of you.
Yeah.
We have something called Collab South.
Okay.
All right. That's been done by our economic development.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Chris Pack.
Okay.
And we have 2 locations for Collab South.
Nice.
One is on Roosevelt Highway, and the other is going to be we signed a lease. It's going to be on Old National Highway. Okay. Now, what those 2 facilities do is just what you said.
Right.
They'll be able to come in and prepare, but they also houses what we call Main Street managers.
Okay.
And we have a Main Street program now, and we have a DDA program, and both of those are good for us in terms of attracting economic development. So we're set, we're ready. We haven't done a lot in terms of that because of the COVID, the pandemic, but we're set and ready and anxious to get started on helping our people to rebuild themselves. And when they rebuild themselves, helping them to give them the education that will sustain themselves.
Right. That's huge. So we know that, that this is, somewhat of a challenging race for you. But it's, I think the benefit for you moving forward is that, you set the standard. You have been able to give the city its first taste of what leadership is. And you've been able to give them something to look forward to as mayor. I want to know, though, from you, Mayor Edwards, when these 4 years, these next 4 years are over with, I don't know if your charter allows you to run another, term, or if you all are just doing term limits of 8 years. I'm not quite sure. But what do you want the legacy of Bill Edwards to be in the city of South Fulton? Again, there's no question you already etched in stone as the first mayor of the city of South Fulton. But beyond that, what would you want the legacy to be? What do you want the citizens of the city of South Fulton to say, 50 years from now about Mayor Bill Edwards?
I want them to say that he was a servant leader.
Hmm.
Because if you don't take these jobs, for money and things that nature, you
Right.
take these jobs to serve. And
Yeah.
why do I think I was a servant leader? Because, I just didn't start this yesterday.
Right.
And before that, I was a leader in the community. And I've
Correct.
always been serving people. And I want them to say that he was a servant leader. I want him to think that he was a team builder.
Okay.
All right. That he was one that will collaborate with you. He was one that was accessible to you. And I think I am highly accessible.
Yeah.
that was accessible to you and really want to listen to what your thoughts are. All right. And one that is as a calming nature. Some people we get so frustrated with the personalities,
Right.
that we don't hear each other. All right. And so sometimes I've trained myself over the years to listen. All right. And to respond.
Right.
Listen. So, and that he was vested in his love for the city, in the terms of the buildings, in terms of the infrastructure he left. All of these things I want to be said. And in the end of the day, I want him to say he's the best mayor we ever had.
Nothing wrong with that. Listen, got a question for you. Is the city of South Fulton hiring? Where
Oh, yeah, yes. Hey, not on the city of South Fulton, everybody.
This is true. Like I said, I just visited my daughter in school, and the everywhere we walked or went, there were signs that said not hiring. I said, I said to her, when I was growing up, that was common to see signs like that, everywhere. So you can easily get a job, and that should be the case everywhere now. But yeah, definitely, you're right.
We are definitely hiring. We want good people.
Yeah.
To come to our city. I think we pay a decent wage. And we try to make sure that the working environment is conducive to where we're getting a little overcrowded now. When I first started out, we didn't have no employees. Now we got over 600. So that's why I'll talk to you about space and talk to you about buildings that we're trying to buy and try to move into.
Yeah.
So they check the website, check the website for the city, and you'll see the jobs listed. And please apply. Listen, I would love to see a lot of our citizens in our city apply for these jobs. Right. Please go in there.
What is the website, Mayor Edwards?
City of South Fulton, Georgia.
Okay.
GA.gov.
City of South Fulton, GA.gov.
Yes.
Got it.
Please come on there. Everybody, come on home and let's join the family. Bring your talents to us.
Yes, sir.
Your talents run this city.
That makes complete sense. Mayor Edwards, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And as I said at the very top of the hour, we appreciate you being a friend of WCEG Talk Radio. It makes all the difference in the world, to be able to have access, to a mayor in this time. It's good to have access to the leaders, of our government and of our city. We talked, my cousin and I over the weekend, we talked about, and this, you've been in government for a while, that the improvements, the things that we want to see in our community happen, first of all, in our backyards. We spend a lot of time looking for the federal government to come and rescue us. We spend a lot of time waiting for the president and Congress to do it. But, they do provide, funds to our communities, but most, if not all of it, is happening on the backs of the citizens, that are right in the communities for which we live. And so, it's important that, that the people know and have access to the leaders of their community and have access to its leaders. Your city council, and I don't know if you can really answer this question, but do you find it easy to work at, as we get ready to, go to the bottom of the hour, do you find it easy to work with the members that serve with you on city council?
Now, Joe,
That's why I said I don't know if you can answer that.
Well,
question,
let me just say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. They come with their individual talents. They come with their individual thoughts. All right. And sometimes it gets a little difficult to hold the reins as a leader. But once again,
if you weren't running for office, I would tell you that was the best political answer I ever heard in my life.
Well, listen, I told you now, we're resilient.
Yeah.
We have to be resilient.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, Mayor, as we get ready to close, how have you all been able to respond? I guess this would be kind of the last question. How have you been able to respond to the issues? You mentioned it a little earlier, but to the issues of rent and mortgage and what is it, the C's on and evictions and things like that. How have you all been able to weather that?
I would advise people to go to our website.
Okay.
All right. And we have information on there. If you need rental assistance or whatever you need, please go to that website, click on that, and then that'll help you to move forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Mayor Edwards, again, as always, we thank you so much for your time and your patience for serving with us here on WCEG. So as a plug, you're running for re-election. What's the plug that you want people to when they get ready to go to the polls on November 2nd and they're thinking about who they want to elect as mayor? What's the Bill Edwards plug to re-elect Mayor Edwards?
Well, listen, the experience and the service speaks for itself. But let me say this. I would say to people, vote for Bill Edwards. Look at my record over 18 years and then survey your options.
Look at that. Look at my record over 18 years and survey the options. That right there is that speaks volumes. That speaks a lot of volumes there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, we have been chatting with the mayor of the city of South Fulton, the original mayor, the originator for the city of South Fulton. And he is up for re-election, which is November 2nd, all across the state of Georgia. Early voting will take place from October 12th through the 29th. So if you are like me and like many other citizens and you want to go out and get that taken care of already, please do so. Registration for early voting ends on October 4th. So in order for you to vote for in the November 2nd election, you need to have been registered by October 4th. Don't go to the office on October 5th saying that you want to register. You have to be registered by October 4th. And don't go to the polls on November 2nd saying, oh, I thought I could vote here. It's real simple, ladies and gentlemen. This information is always out there. And we want you to be informed and know that the election is November 2nd. Early voting is October 12th through the 29th. You have to have registered by October 4th in order to be able to vote in the upcoming elections. And as I said, in prior weeks, and I will continue to push that you need to have your state ID. Do not show up to these polls without your ID and want to have all these issues and call it on voter, voter protection, saying they won't let you vote. Just have your ID. Now, if you need voter protection, please don't hesitate to call them, but just go with the information that you need to make this a seamless process. We want to thank, without any questions, Mayor Bill Edwards, William Bill Edwards, for the Honorable Mayor William Bill Edwards for coming on to WCEG and talking with us and giving us, an outline of what has been taking place in the city of South Fulton and what is going to take place in the years to come. I got to tell you, the transparency that comes from your office, Mayor Edwards, is it's amazing. And although I am not a citizen there, I appreciated it. If some days I feel like moving back closer to the city. And I don't know, maybe the city of South Fulton might pull me back into that city town area if I can afford it. I need some affordable housing. I need some affordable housing out there. But we thank you so very much. And the citizens of the city of South Fulton, thank you so much for your service to the community, sir.
Thank you so much. I love everybody, whether you vote for me or not. I love you all.
Yes, sir. Listen, as I preach on Sunday, I always end the sermon topic with, I love you and ain't nothing you can do about it. That's the answer there. And listen, you can use that one too. Now, like you said, the first one is on me. Now you can take the rest of it and use it on your own.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Okay,
much for joining us.
I'll do that. Thank
Yes,
you
sir.
so much. I appreciate the dialogue.
Thank you, sir. Have a good
All right.
evening.
All right. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.